The New York Knicks have had the season from hell. Kristaps Porzingis began injured, they played terribly to start the year, Kevin Knox looked average before finally recapturing some of his preseason form, and then the organisation traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Dallas Mavericks. The trade was initially perceived to be horrible for the Knicks as they gave up their best young player that they had had in years. But shining light has come through for New York from this trade in the form of Dennis Smith Jr., cap space, and two very valuable first-round picks. And while Dennis Smith Jr. is important to the Knicks' future, this video will instead focus on one of the biggest shining light on the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson has been playing with an enormous amount of energy, athleticism, and a seeming desire to show every team in the league that they made a mistake in not drafting him. This video will focus on his enormous ceiling and just how good he could become, before turning to look at how valuable he is to the Knicks and what that future looks like. Robinson was drafted last year by the Knicks with the 36th pick in the draft. He had reportedly been on the radars of the Celtics and the Lakers, who both took other big man options in Robert Williams and Mo Wagner. The Knicks would have counted their blessings when he slipped all the way into the second round into their arms. But it wasn't for no reason that this athletic 7-footer slipped all the way down to the 36th pick. Robinson had been touted as a top recruit in his high school class and originally committed going to college for a year. But after being suspended for a team policy violation, Robinson took it upon himself to drop out and prepare for the draft by himself. He hired a trainer and locked himself in the gym, working on skills and conditioning in order to prepare for the draft. Initially, he was meant to unveil his hard work at the draft combine. It would provide an opportunity for him to remind teams just how much of an athletic freak he was. But instead, he would pull out of the combine and increase the amount of uncertainty around him. And the teams that didn't back him in will be kicking themselves now, because the Knicks have managed to acquire first round and even lottery talent with their 36th pick, and Robinson is finally showing that on a more consistent basis to end the season. After drafting him, the Knicks were keen to keep expectations low, probably knowing just how excited New York media and their fans can get. They initially said he would probably play sporadic minutes even in the Summer League, as his fitness base was lower than required. And while this was partially true, it was what he did in those minutes that turned on the light of hope and excitement for the Knicks fans. Robinson was out there throwing down alley-oops, grabbing offensive rebounds over the top of centers, and attempting to block every shot put up. He struggled a little bit with fouling, but it was clear that this kid could play. What was even clearer was that his potential was a lot higher than some random second-round draft pick. The Knicks promised that he would play limited minutes would eventuate at the start of the regular season, as he played 10 minutes in the first 4 games combined of the season. In his 5th game, he would show the athletic flashes again, grabbing 3 offensive rebounds, blocking a shot, and scoring 4 points in just 10 incredibly high-energy minutes. These athletic flashes would continue over the course of the season, and Robinson would begin to earn more and more minutes. Amidst the athletic flashes though, there were signs of a player who had clearly taken a year off of organised basketball. He would frequently fumble passes, make strange decisions under the basket, sometimes find himself crowding the paint for his teammates, and foul way too much. But these rusty mistakes and lower basketball IQ plays were coupled with things that almost no other player in the NBA could do. Robinson was out there trying to block every single shot put up by an opposition player. In just his 12th NBA game, he managed to block an incredible 9 shots in just 22 minutes against the Orlando Magic. People could criticize his IQ and his overall defensive play all they liked, but the physical tools and energy was clearly there. He was making plays that no other player in the league could make. And David Fizdale and the Knicks organization knew that it would be like this. They did not pick Robinson and expect him to average 30 minutes a game and anchor the best defense in the league. They picked him because they thought he could eventually become that kind of player. And let me say right now that it really is his potential. I'm not saying that he will definitely become that player, simply that he has the tools and is in the right situation to have a chance to develop into it and become one of the best defenders in the league. Robinson is listed at 7'1", and whether or not that is exaggerated, he is at least a true 7-footer. He is also incredibly lean and athletic 7-footer. I say this a lot, but a ton of 7-footers just don't have the quickness or agility required to run up and down NBA courts at the speed that the modern NBA requires. With the increase in three-point shooting and pick-and-roll plays, NBA centers have to have the ability to move quickly to show on the ball handler before recovering to the screener as quickly as possible. Guys like Enes Kanter and even Boogie Cousins this season have really struggled with this, and it allows decent teams to look like offensive powerhouses when they're on the court. Robinson isn't perfect at guarding the pick and roll yet, but he definitely has the quickness to do it. Watching him defend on the court, and you can see him fall out of positions at times and allow either the guard or the big man to get an easy shot. But when he executes the coverage well, he is devastating at it. His length and size allows him to warp the view of the guard and contain them really well, and then when he goes back to the big man at the correct time, he races back faster than almost any big man in the league. After 3 years in the league and a ton more coaching on pick and roll defense, I can see him being one of the most effective defenders of it. This will require a ton of work from his part, but based on his improvement in this season alone, it is entirely plausible that he has that kind of work ethic. Plus, it isn't just his quickness that makes him effective at covering the pick and roll. Robinson has insanely long arms for a player of his size, and he also has amazing leaping ability. This allows him to cover more space than most big men, and it limits the number of alley-oops and passes guards can throw against him. Players have to throw the ball so high to stop Robinson from being able to fly up and pluck the steal out of thin air. Even when he doesn't grab the ball entirely, he often gets a deflection to break up the play or even cause an entire turnover, which his teammates then collect. The length and quickness combination also allow him to effectively switch onto guards more than most big men. His speed makes it tough for players to drive past him, and even when they do, he can recover fast enough to get in position for the block from behind. And if players try and shoot a 3 on him, he is so fast to react that he frequently blocks 3-point shots. In fact, I don't know if I can remember a player who blocks as many 3-pointers as Robinson does. He seemingly gets one of these incredible blocks a game, when most big men would be lucky to get one per month. Mitch does get beaten though by the guard sometimes, usually when he overplays and comes up too high. But as he learns that he can probably drop back a little bit more than most bigs due to his ability to block jumpers, he'll get beaten off the dribble less and less. This ability to defend ball handlers and even be scary defensively in this regard makes him so valuable to the Knicks as they enter the modern NBA. Guys who can defend in this manner are easily the most defensively valuable. More and more often, teams are switching or at least hard hedging pick and rolls, and attacking the switch is perhaps the easiest way to score in isolation. So when a player can reduce how effective attacking off of the switch is, they are adding value in an area most players can't. This will allow Mitch to stay on the court and provide rim protection and rebounding for future Knicks teams. We've seen players like Rudy Gobert get run off the court in the playoffs due to pick and rolls. Against the Jazz last year, the Rockets went small and attacked Gobert over and over again in the pick and roll with Chris Paul and James Harden. And while Gobert performed admirably, there were times when Quinn Snyder had to pull him off of the court in order to maintain their defensive effectiveness as a unit by being able to switch. The best rim protector in the entire league was pulled off the court at times for defensive reasons in the playoffs. This madness would never happen in the 90s and even the early 2000s. And briefly, I want to give credit to Gobert, who has worked relentlessly on his lateral quickness this offseason and is finding this much less of a problem this year. And this is partially why Robinson could be so incredibly valuable defensively. He has the potential to be able to do both. As outlined previously, he could be great against the pick and roll, and he is already good at protecting the rim. Robinson came out with a quote that he wanted to average 6 blocks a game in the NBA. This might seem incredulous to fans, but it isn't out of this world. It's not that disconnected from his reality. Mitch came out the next game and swatted 6 shots in an almost self-fulfilling prophecy, plus he had 3 steals to go along with his incredible defensive game. On top of this, he is averaging an insane 2.3 blocks per game in just 18.4 minutes, mainly off of the bench. This extrapolates out to 4.5 blocks per 36 minutes. Robinson is blocking shots at a pace that is simply out of this world. Plus, since he returned from injury, he is actually blocking 3.2 shots in 21 minutes per game. The numbers are getting even better, because per 36 minutes in 2019, he's averaging 5.5 blocks. Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid, and the other best shot blockers in the league aren't even close to this level of shot swatting. I don't think Mitch will ever quite reach the incredible 6 blocks per game, but he could come awfully close and will probably be the biggest shot blocker the league has seen since guys like Mark Eaton. His ability to block shots comes from the length and quickness combination. He can cover so much ground and airspace in such little time. Guards come into the paint and expect to be able to get their shot off, but Robinson is there in a flash to swat the attempts and protect his team's basket. But it is important to remember, and perhaps for Robinson to learn, that blocking shots isn't always the best defensive play. Sometimes players need to stay down and become vertical to make it difficult for the offensive player to shoot, rather than simply try and swat it. Generally, this allows for better rebounding position and ends the possession in one go if the player misses. When big men go for the block and miss it, their man will frequently just grab the offensive rebound and put it back in for the easier score. Nikola Jokic is a fantastic example of using positional defense. Being one of the least vertically athletic players in the league, he almost never leaves his feet, and this allows him to contest shots and then grab the rebound. I'm not saying that Robinson should play the same as Jokic, but simply that at times he should learn to stay down. But one thing that Big Mitch does have going for him is his second jump. Robinson is so fast to jump again after landing that he can contest a shot and still go for the rebound, when a lot of players would not be able to do both. This is what will allow him to continue to hunt blocks and still be a great rim protector and rebounder in the future. But tightening it up a bit would definitely not hurt. This ability gives him the potential to eventually become one of the best defenders in the league. If he can play within the scheme and learn when to hunt blocks and steals, he could be a defensive wrecking ball on the league. And this hasn't even mentioned his offensive potential. Robinson is definitely rawer on this end of the court and does frequently get in the way of his teammates when they're trying to score. But when he runs simple pick and rolls, he is devastating. He is so athletic that he has the ability to fly for lobs that others simply can't catch. He'll fill the Clint Capella role in the future for the Knicks and be amazing at it. And his offensive rebounds are fantastic at creating extra possessions and frustrating defenses as well. And the best things for Knicks fans and the organisation is that they have Robinson under contract for less than $2 million a year for 3 more seasons. Alongside Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, and the Knicks draft pick this season, he forms a young core that the Knicks will try to use and lure free agents this season. But even if they can't, their future is still bright because of guys like Big Mitch. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future. And let me know in the comments below what you think of Robinson and the Knicks.